What's going on, family? Decided I would do a bit of an about me video um, per suggestion by one of my followers, which is also somebody that I am connected with on Facebook. That's also um, doing their own build and has their own channel. I'll see if I can throw their channel down in the comments or in the description. May not do it right away, but I will try to get to it as soon as possible. In any event, so what it all boils down to is this time around, I'm going to basically give a bit of a description of what I do. Um, as far as what I'm attempting to do currently for an actual income, um, as well as my general situation. So basically, what it all boils down to is I make cool stuff with lasers. I do laser cutting and engraving, but I also do a little bit of IT work. Um, on that particular note, I've technically been in business since 2011. So it's been 10 years now. Coming up in November will be 10 years of actually having some kind of a workshop, storefront, or external location from home. I've been doing that kind of work for somewhere close to 20 years at this point. Actually, no, a little bit over 20 years. I got to think about it because it's 2021. And I technically started doing it in 98. So, yeah, it's been about 23 years that I've been doing IT work, either working for a company or doing a side hustle out of my house or having either a storefront or a workshop, which is what I'm sitting in right now, and offering my services in that realm. Uh, my bread and butter, as far as what I know best, is involving laptops and computers. I've been building computers pretty much since 1998. Um, but most of what I have been doing as of late has been repairs. Once I actually got my doors open, as far as having an actual storefront, which is what I originally had before I downsized to this, I spent a lot of time doing PC repairs, laptop repairs, a couple of custom builds here and there. Got into cell phone and tablet repairs, and then I didn't really get into the laser cutting stuff until I got my workshop here, um, and connected with a local makerspace, which is where I learned how to do all of that initially. And I've been dealing with that for about the last 5, almost 6 years. But yeah, as far as the IT stuff is concerned, I did actually, when I had my storefront, I did have at that time a internet cafe. I had so backstory on that particular setup. I had actually pulled off being able to open up that shop without having any going into any debt. Um, I was able to save up money the year prior and purchase the things that I used to set that space up in auctions over the course of that year. And when the time came, I partnered with a couple buddies of mine and basically moved all the stuff from my basement into the storefront. And once we got the storefront, all the paperwork together, got the power on, so on and so forth. But yeah, moved everything into the storefront and was able to open up the very next day. Um, and basically hit the ground running. So, most of what I do tends to function that way. I find roundabout and generally alternative ways to make things happen as far as business is concerned, so that I don't have a huge amount of overhead or dive in too heavy with expenses and not be able to survive or function. Um, It's not necessarily for the faint of heart, but at the same time, it minimizes me having any kind of debt. I've not gone into any specific debt involving my businesses, well, my business, I should say. I haven't gone into any specific debt involving getting myself set up or situated, um, whether it was the storefront that I originally had or the workshop that I have now. Everything's pretty much been out of pocket and in a lot of cases secondhand or refurbished or what have you, or custom built by myself. But yeah, I kind of have that bootstrap mentality when it comes to my entrepreneurial roots. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna throw at the end of this video. I'm gonna throw in a little compilation of some photos and maybe a little bit of video footage of some of the stuff that I've made over the course of the last 6 years, as far as my laser cutting is concerned. But like I mentioned before, I got into that initially via a local makerspace here in Milwaukee, and the initiation of that was pretty much wanting to make something for myself. Um, when I first learned how to use the machine, what I initially decided to do was make myself a cell phone stand. I should actually have photos of that cell phone stand. Um, so I will probably throw those if I can find them. I will add that to the beginning of the photo compilation at the end of the video. But yeah, I made that for myself and started using it, and people basically asked me where I got it from. Told them I made it myself. That led to people having interest in it and wanting to buy it. So I made a few for people to buy, and it kind of just mushroomed from there. I started making other items over the course of those first few months, and from there, I slowly built an inventory that allowed me to start getting into doing craft fairs and farmers markets and conventions. And about maybe roughly second or third year in to doing the farmers markets and the craft fairs and such, I decided to push more towards the convention circuit. So I started doing mostly conventions and the occasional farmers market or craft fair here and there, as well as offering stuff on my website, so on and so forth. After I think the third to fourth year, it was about 90% conventions, and about 10% everything else as far as things places I actually went to offer my wares. I slowly expanded out from doing just stuff in Milwaukee, like literally riding a mountain bike with a cart on the back of it that had all my inventory and my display and set up in the whole nine. Riding that around town um, in order to get to the local shows. To There was a period in there where I built my own bike, but I'll get to that at a later point in time. Um, but I upgraded from that to going into having a vehicle and doing shows in the general like outer Milwaukee area, suburbs, things along those lines. Then started going further and further away within the state. Eventually started going out of state and expanded to the point where right before the pandemic hit, the farthest that I had actually driven in order to do a show was down to Tennessee. Um, yeah, it was Tennessee. I'd done some shows in Louisville. Um, I hadn't gone much out west. It was mostly covering the majority of the Midwest, like Iowa, Minnesota, Michigan, so on and so forth. And then I just started expanding to the South with Louisville and Tennessee in 2008, almost 2018. I ended up missing the show in Louisville 2018, but I ended up doing a bunch of stuff in 2019 that was down south. Then the pandemic hit, obviously, in 2020, and things pretty much came to a grinding halt as far as that particular facet of things were concerned. So now I'm pretty much just doing my thing online. Um, and well, that's pretty much it. Just doing my thing online and doing the IT work as far as like doing computer and laptop repairs and whatnot via word of mouth. Um, that pretty much sums up the majority of what's been going on as far as why I do what I do and what got me into the situation I'm in now with um, modifying this bus. It was something that I had intended on doing for probably 3 or 4 years. Might even be 5 years, something along those lines. But it had been on my mind for a while. Um, and basically, what led to where I'm at now was uh, good situations mixed with bad situations, mixed with an interesting opportunity time wise. And without getting into a bunch of detail involving that, long story incredibly short, I was able to grab the one that I'm working on now in an auction out in Madison for a really decent price. Um, and that's pretty much what started me on this journey. I picked it up at the end. Why I bought it at the end of December, picked it up at the beginning of January, and that's what brought me to having the channel here, as well as actually kicking off my Patreon. Because I'd had a Patreon account for, oh man, probably 2 years now, but I never really figured out a way to incorporate it into what I was doing with the laser cutting. Like I had ideas, but nothing really seemed like it was gonna stick or solidify. So I never really pushed into it. But once I got the bus started, I'm like, you know what? That's a good reason to actually start utilizing the Patreon account. So that's why it's up. As well as the YouTube channel, just deciding to open up my because I've had my account for forever with YouTube. But I never really posted much on it. I pretty much just used it for the videos that are on my website for the merchandise that I sell. But since I got a project that I felt was big enough to actually start sharing with people, we're here now. So that's pretty much how this all got going, and I'm looking forward to expanding the channel in general into the other stuff that I do as far as the IT stuff, as well as the laser cutting stuff. Just actually, giving you guys video footage of pieces that I'm working on, um, either after the fact, after the fact of actually engraving and cutting them out, or the process of actually engraving them and cutting them out. Just things along those lines. Just general content. Because I've been big on photo content as far as like my social media is concerned, but I never really put much into video content. Now that I've started doing the channel and have actually invested time and energy into figuring out specific programs for video editing and whatnot, I'm ready to go all in. So that's what I'm going to do. That being said, I should note that I'm a very big advocate for open source software. So pretty much anything I produce, which also includes the laser cutting and engraving, everything that I do is primarily based on open source software. Even my IT work, um, I find what I need to make it happen. Um, I've been like that pretty much since 1998. I've been into computers since I was a baby, but as far as my open source software initiation, that was around 98 that I had gotten into that for my own personal use. And as time has gone on and things have gotten better as far as the technology with open source software and the functionality and the um, competitive features in comparison to software that can be purchased, um, it's made things easier and easier to make everything work for me. Like, um, just to give you a general idea, I will show you my current setup with my laptop and my computer monitor. Um, so right here, uh, I've got my Patreon page. But yeah, my laptop, um, this is running operating system called Linux, and it's a specific version of it because there's a long story involving that. But there's a bunch of different variations of this of Linux in and of itself, um, and I'm using a particular one that I kind of know the ins and outs to, as far as like not just using it but being more of a power user, so I know how to do a little bit of coding and tweaking so that it works the way I want it to for myself. um, but that's a whole nother conversation, and I'm not really gonna, elongate this video with all that detail because that's a whole nother ball of wax. But in any event, um, yeah, everything that I do as far as my IT work and my laser cutting is all based on open source software, as well as producing these videos, um, and providing them to you guys. But all that said and done, that's pretty much a Cliff Notes version of how I do what I do, why I do what I do, and why I am where I am with having this channel, doing this bus build out, and all of that. Um, there isn't much else to say in this particular video, so I think I'm going to cut it at this point. But feel free to ask questions in the comment section. Um, I have no problem fleshing out some of the things that I've talked about in this particular video a little bit more. Um, as normal, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you know when the videos come out. Obviously, they come out every Wednesday as far as being released to the public. And if you subscribe to my Patreon, then you get to see them the day that they get produced, or not produced, but the day that they get published online. So, as usual, thank you. Thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, all you guys. And I look forward to the next video that comes out, and I look forward to continuing this process as a whole. Because all said and done, even though I'm having a decent amount of general setbacks, like with my health, um, not really my health per se, because I'm not like sick or anything. I have an injury, and that's the main thing that slows this process down and makes it so this is like broken up into so many individual little sections. I only get to really spend about an hour or two in the bus a day whenever I do these videos. So, that's one of the reasons why this process is taking as long as it's taking. Once I'm healed up from that, things will probably move at a much more accelerated pace, especially with being able to, maneuver myself in the bus in a more agile way, and be able to get more things done, have more time to actually on a daily basis put forth time and energy into the bus to get things moving. Um, but yeah, I at some point in time will probably give detail about the whole injury and everything in a later video. But just note that most of the reason that my time is limited as far as me actually working on the bus and everything being broken up into so many videos and the process being so quote unquote slow is because I'm working with a major injury. So I have to be very careful about how I do what I do, and I'm very limited in my time of being able to do things because getting in the bus is a process, getting around in the bus is a process, getting out of the bus is a process. So, you know, it's not like this is, simple at the moment. I'm making it work, but it's not as simple as it could be. It's not as simple as I would like it to be. But that, it is what it is. I'm gonna make it work like I do with everything else in life. But I digress. Anyway, this is the final time that I'm going to close out this video. So again, thank you guys for following. Thank you if you made it to this far in the video. I sincerely appreciate the fact that you listened to me babble on for roughly 20 minutes. And I will try to produce more videos like this where I'm just, letting you guys know what's really going on, quote unquote, behind the scenes, and just tell you a little bit more about my life. Thank you. I appreciate you. and I look forward to the next video. Peace.